office, Chief Scott Jocelyn is here. We have from our Department of Public Works, our Commissioner of Public Works, Dan Neverth, as well as the Deputy Commissioner of Public Works, Greg Butcher. We are joined by the Executive Director of NITEC, which is the organization, a conglomerate of groups that ensures and works on our infrastructure and highways to let people know about the conditions through NITEC, Athena Hutchins. And we are also joined by Elizabeth Carey from AAA. Every year, one more person that we're joined with here that I haven't introduced yet is Jennifer from Deaf Access Services, who will be providing the American Sign Language for us here today. Every year we have a preparation press conference to talk about what we are doing in Erie County government to be prepared for the upcoming winter. And as we know, we've had a great fall, such a wonderful fall to tell you the truth, in which last week it was 70 degrees. But as we know, there is a major storm that is approaching, which in effect will be the first snowfall of the year for the Metro Buffalo region. And myself and others were just on a conference call with Judy Levan of the National Weather Service, and it is quite indicative of what we are facing. The call was such that while it is not certain the amount of snow that will be received, it is certain that a significant amount of snowfall measured in feet will occur starting late Thursday night, around midnight between Thursday and Friday, in which there may be an all-day snow with snow at a rate of 2 inches or more per hour for the Friday in the Buffalo metro region. This will be a significant snowfall. 1 foot of snow, we can handle that with no problem. 2 feet, we can handle that. When you start getting above 2 feet, then you're looking at significant issues and delays that can happen with regards to the removal of snow in our communities. Erie County Department of Public Works has 37 plows at the ready. There's a number of other trucks that are being converted as we speak. So there are guaranteed at least 37 plows that will be on the streets through our 5 districts. We also coordinate with our partners in city and town government to plow roads. Approximately half of the roads that are Erie County owned roads are actually plowed by the relationship we have with the cities, towns, and villages in those communities. So we feel confident that we'll have sufficient plows as well as individuals out to handle the snow, but it will be a significant snow. And while we're used to snow in this area, we always know that first snowfall, troubles arise. People drive too fast, they're not prepared for it, and when we're talking about snow that's going to be measured in feet for the first significant snowfall, this is one that is going to have an impact on our region. I was just looking at my phone to compare notes. If we remember back 8 years ago, it was November 17th, which was the start of that horrible snowstorm that we all remember, Snowvember, Winter Storm Knife. Well, we won't have a snowstorm as bad as that, thankfully. But it will basically start on November 17th, 8 years later, in which we're going to have a very significant snowfall for this region. So what we want to remind everybody is now is the time to prepare for the winter and the snowstorm that's coming. You don't want to be driving down a road stuck on a road and look in your car and not be adequately prepared. You want to ensure that you have gloves, hats, other types of things, scarves in your car. You want to ensure you have water in your car. You want to ensure that your phone is adequately charged. Make certain that you have those adaptive uses so you can charge your phone in the car. Because when you're talking about snowfall that falls around 2 inches per hour or greater, whiteout conditions are possible. Snow can accumulate on a road very quickly. It takes a number of hours for our plow drivers to do a route. So if they go down a road and all of a sudden it takes them 4 hours to return back to where they were and it's snowing at a rate of 2 inches or greater, there's already 8 inches of snow on the ground by the time the plow gets to it again. So we want individuals to be prepared, to understand if you got snow tires or you're going to get snow tires, now's the time to get snow tires. Make sure your snow blower's tuned up. Now's the time to clean off your driveway of leaves and things like that, especially at the end of the street. Now's the time to get out there and do that final fall prep and ensure that your vehicle and your house is storm ready. We are expecting a significant snow. We can handle snow in this region. We know we can handle snow in this region. We've had bigger storms than what's projected for this, but it's rare that we actually have as big a projection as we're going to see for the first snowfall of the year. And we know during that first snowfall for the year, people just aren't prepared. Drive slowly when you're in the snow. If you like driving on the thruway at 75 miles per hour, well, you're actually going over the speed limit, but don't do it when there's snow on the ground, when the ground is slick, because that's easily when we are having to see, and as the sheriff's office can report, that's when the vehicles end up in the ditches on the 400, the 219, and the thruway. So we have to get back to what it's like to drive during the winter. I just want to remind everybody that this will be a significant snow event. The event that happened 8 years ago was basically a 10-mile wide band. What we were told from the Weather Service is this will be a 20-mile wide band. So there will be areas of the county in western New York where it might be sunny out, but it could be snowing like cats and dogs just north or south of you. So one of the problems we saw 8 years ago was individuals where the weather was nice where they were, trying to drive to work, trying to drive to other locations through the snow band, which we knew was horrible. So if you are in an area which is nice, be happy. The snow's not falling in your area. But don't try to drive into an area if we're getting rates of 2 or 3 inches per hour, because that's when it gets tough. And as our plow drivers can attest to, the one thing that makes it really difficult for them to plow roads is when people get stuck on the roads. They get stuck on the roads, our plows can't get down the roads, and then the snow just builds up because the tow trucks can't come down and pull that vehicle off the road. So make sure you got good tires on your vehicles. Make sure that you have your emergency kit in your vehicle. This will not be a whole week's event. It is expected that we'll see some snowfall starting in southern Erie County, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus tomorrow, Wednesday evening through Thursday morning. Then it'll stop, and it'll look like, oh, there's nothing that's going on. We were told to expect 4 or 5 hours of nothing, but then it's going to pick up in the late evening hours on Thursday, midnight Friday, and it's going to, as was told to me by Judy Levan, now let me just get the exact words, it will hit with a vengeance starting late Thursday night, Friday morning. And then it's expected to go all day Friday, most of Saturday. The winds might shift, and then by Sunday, as Judy said, probably around game time, the snow will probably pass through our area. So expect the 36 to 48 hours of very difficult conditions. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our Commissioner of Homeland Security Emergency Services, Dan Neverth, to talk a little bit more about emergency preparedness. Then we'll also have representatives from the other organizations. And then I have an important announcement, a fun announcement to talk about as we enter our winter season. So, Commissioner?
Thanks, Mark. Usually get asked the question, what are we doing to prepare for the storm? And I think the standard answer on our part, for my department and all of those that we work with on a regular basis, is it's a 365-day-a-year planning that we do. We don't do it because snow is coming. We've been working on this. We continue to refine it. We've got our seasonal transportation plan, which also includes the road closures that take place in the event that we have to shut down everything from the thruway to the 190 to the 219 or the 400. It's the coordination that takes place with that with all of the community members. So we're constantly working to refine that. We're focused now with communicating with all of the government officials from all the towns and villages so that everybody's on the same page. The same weather briefing that we had with the National Weather Service, we will have tomorrow. So again, we're making sure that everybody is being communicated with, to, and that they're communicating with us on a regular basis. So those are the type of things that we work with on a regular day-to-day within my department. We also have resources and assets that we have ready to go. It's again connecting the dots, making sure the communities know what those resources are, as is the same case with the Sheriff's Office, tremendous amount of resources to assist. But it's that partnership that we have with our other folks from the state and even on the federal level in the event that things get really bad. So we've got a great conduit to get additional resources, working not only through the county with the towns, villages, and city, but also with New York State. So just wanted to highlight that relationship. Also wanted to add, because I think the message should come from everyone, including the members of the media, that normally we have this and we don't necessarily have a storm coming. But the transition from this severe, well, the wonderful weather that we had all summer long, almost no fall, and directly into winter, sometimes trips some people up. So let's make sure that we use the next 48 hours to get our vehicles prepared. Let's make sure that we have supplies in our vehicle, not necessarily because of the snow that's coming, but because of it's winter time, and you should have some extra supplies, a blanket and some other things, battery cables, the basic necessities that you have as a Western New Yorker. So take care of yourself. We're working on our end, but also we ask that everybody out there does their part, and we'll continue to move forward. So everybody be safe. Follow whatever you hear on the media. Don't be going out there and just being curious as to what 3 to 4 inches per hour of snow looks like. That's our biggest obstacle to keeping the roads clear. So just keep that in mind. Everybody be out there, be safe. We'll do everything on our end to make sure that we get through this, and next week will be a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you may know, we do name our snowstorms after local craft brews, and we want to thank the former Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, Charlie Sickler, for being here today and also being the godfather of that genesis. We ended last year in the S's. We're just going to continue straight through in the T's. This storm, for our purposes, will be known as That IPA from Community Beer Works. So people were actually inquiring what the name of the storm was going to be because we name them after beer. And the people who have to clean up that storm are the folks in our Department of Public Works. So it's my pleasure to introduce our Commissioner of Public Works, William Geary.
Good afternoon. Yeah, and thanks, Charlie, once again coming through and helping us out. As the county executive said, this is going to be a significant event. Our crews have been preparing for this for the last month as we transition out of our summer maintenance period into the winter maintenance. Crews will probably be out sometime tomorrow afternoon doing some preemptive salting to prepare for some of the mix precip that we're anticipating in the afternoon hours of Wednesday and into Wednesday night. But we'll go into a 24-hour shift posture starting tomorrow also. So we have more than enough drivers, over 70 drivers for the 36 plow trucks that are ready to go, and I'm sure our mechanical staff, the men and women putting these trucks together, will have a few more before the storm gets to that intense period on Friday. But again, just stay tuned in, listen to the media reports as far as where the snow is, try to avoid those areas, always be prepared and have a plan, let people know where you're going. I'm sure that's going to be a common theme you'll hear from everybody, but most importantly, our trucks with Erie County, they're one-person plow operated, so there's only one person in that vehicle. Give them a lot of room. They're doing the best they can, and they're the ones that are always going to come through and make us be able to have dry roads and just in time for the Bills game on Sunday. And with that, just leave it as go Bills.
Thank you, Bill. One of the organizations locally that you should be following on your social media is NYTEC. NYTEC's providing instantaneous information, including cameras on all the major roads, and knows about the issues that are going on. So if you want to know if there's a problem on our roads, you should be following NYTEC, and I'm very pleased that we have Athena Hutchins from NYTEC here to offer a few words and what NYTEC also can offer during this upcoming winter.
Thank you. So if you're not familiar with NYTEC, it's nittec.org. We have a mobile app and a website. There's over 100 streaming cameras on our website to see what's going on the expressway network throughout the region. That's available to the public to see what's going on. And like they mentioned, it might be snowing in one area and not snowing in another. You can get an indication of what's going on based on what's showing on the cameras on our website. So this is a picture of our app. You can go download that app. It's free for use. It also has road closures and any kind of incidents, congestion, any type of information that needs to be relayed to the public about what's going on roadways is on our app. We work very closely with all the local governments, Erie County included, Department of Transportation, Thruway Authority, to get that information out. So really encourage the public to take a look at what's going out on the roadways before you even venture out. Gives you an idea of what's happening. Also, just to update, if you see message signs, those large overhead message signs that say maybe a road's closed, please follow those. Those are accurate. We update those on a regular basis to provide that information. So again, you can go to our website and get the information, or our mobile app. Thank you.
As with any of the first major storms of the season, one organization that gets a lot of calls to pull people out of ditches, to take care of dead batteries is AAA. We're very pleased to have Elizabeth Carey of the AAA to talk about how they are preparing for this winter season.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. That's right. We do have a storm team at AAA that does follow the NITEC cameras and takes the advice from the county on what to do in this type of a situation. So this is another reminder to dust off those winter driving skills, because as you have heard and as you know, we've had a great mild season. So as County Executive Poloncarz said, control your speed. That's the number one thing that you can control. So if the weather turns, you want to make sure that you slow down and you give yourself extra space in front of the car in front of you so you can control your vehicle. And then if you happen to go off the road or you get into a situation, we remind everyone to stay seat belted in the vehicle and call 911 if you're in a dangerous situation. If you want AAA roadside assistance, using the AAA mobile app is the fastest way to get service without having to call in and get help. But what we see in these cases is people going off the road or people getting stuck in deep snow. So if a driving ban goes into effect, make sure you follow that advice and you stay home and you stay off the roads. That's going to make it easier for everyone. And we will get into a situation in storms like this where AAA will say, are you safe at home? Then we're going to leave you there because we're going to help the people on the roadside first. So we do ask everyone to stay home when things do get bad. And one more reminder is packing that emergency kit. We tried to tell everyone this in October, but it was too nice out, so we know a lot of people didn't take the advice. But you want to make sure you have some basic tools in there, a blanket, some warm clothes, snacks, water. People travel with their pets, even some pet snacks. This way you're going to stay comfortable while you're waiting for help to arrive. And we do ask everyone to drive safely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We are prepared. We know what it's like to deal with snow in the winter. We very rarely, in my administration, have we gotten a multi-foot snowstorm for the first storm of the year. The only one I can really think of was back in 2014, which was the granddaddy of all snowstorms. And while that is not being predicted, we could see a significant event. I want to finish with one kind of fun thing. Other communities have done this across the country. We have 5 brand new trucks with plows. We have 37 that are ready, about 45 in the fleet. And a lot of people wonder, why can't we name your plows? So we're going to do that. Starting now, you can go to our website at erie.gov/name-a-plow. You can submit a name for naming one of our snowplows. We have a great fleet of snow busters, drift busters, and we want to put names on the side of them. So this is a little fun thing for the community. You have until November 30th to submit your suggestions. We are going to name every one of the plows in our fleet, and the first one to come up with a name that is actually put on our fleet in the long run will have an opportunity to actually get a picture with their plow, as well as a small token of appreciation from Erie County. It's a fun thing that we're doing. The snow plows are out there to protect the public, to keep the roads clear, and like other major pieces of equipment, they should be named to basically allow the public to understand what they're there for. So of course we will not take any profane names or any things that are disrespecting the county, or for that matter the plow drivers and the equipment, but we want to have fun with this. So go to erie.gov/name-a-plow, come up with your suggestions, and maybe your recommendation will actually be adorned on the future of one of these plows. With that, I'll open it up to questions. The questions in relation to, with the snowstorm expected to come in late Thursday, midnight Friday, what are the expectations with the schools? We will be discussing that with school superintendents over the next 36 to 48 hours to give them the latest information that we have. I know some of the superintendents have already reached out to us to see what we're hearing. I think they're concerned also about Friday. If there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, yeah, the schools are going to be open. But if we do get 2 inches of snow per hour from midnight to 6 a.m., that's a lot of snow that's on the ground. And then if you're talking about it accumulating through the remainder of the day, we could be talking about 2 feet during the school time. So we will be having continued conversations with them. Tomorrow, as was hinted to by the Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, I have already scheduled a call with area supervisors and mayors. I have talked to Mayor Brown today. We did talk about the expectations of the storm and how the city is expected to get hit late Thursday, early Friday, and the impact that could have on Friday drive time. We'll continue to have those conversations over the next day as we get closer, and hopefully the Weather Service has a more precise forecast. But as Judy Levan from the Weather Service said, pretty much every one of their models that they've been running is showing a significant amount of snowfall to be measured in feet. So you measure in feet when you start really getting into 2 feet or greater. And it's possible that it could be more. It could be 3 feet or greater. I don't think they know exactly at this point, and they don't want to go out there and do an estimate that people are going to say, oh, you only got 22 inches. Well, 22 inches is still a lot of snow. But this is going to be a significant event, and for the first major snowfall of the region, it is a concern. We know there's a lot of new Western New Yorkers, new Buffalonians, who may have never driven in the snow. They're in for a treat, let's put it that way, if this is going to be your first winter in Buffalo, and the first snowstorm is a significant one. We just recommend everybody be prepared, have that emergency kit in your car, and drive slowly. No reason to drive any faster than you need to. You will get there eventually, unless you're driving so fast that you end up driving into a ditch. Any other questions?
If there's any updates for the media, will it be Friday of the year? Will it be
Depending on the severity of the storm, we may open up the Emergency Operations Center in Cheektowaga. So I would not expect anything tomorrow, but Thursday is a possibility. And then, of course, depending on how the snow's hitting on Friday, we may open up the Emergency Operations Center. We have not determined that yet. But if we do get to a point, we would want to stay away from this location, because this will be a very active location. You can see the salt barn behind you with thousands of tons of salt in there already. The trucks. We will not be here, but we may be at the Emergency Operations Center.
So for being Zoom links as well, I assume?
If we can set it up, yes. Yeah, staffing seems pretty good. I'll turn it over to Bill to look a little bit more. We are not on our overnight shifts yet. Starting December 3rd, we will go to one 12-hour shift day, one 12-hour shift night for our crews. We're not there yet, but I think we're pretty good, and the commissioners assured me we will have staff. He's going to assure all of you now.
Yeah. At least at the county level, other municipalities and organizations probably have a little bit of a hard time with drivers. We're fortunate we have 71 out of the 80. We always have a typical slinky effect, some retirements and people scheduled off. There are no scheduled vacations during this period, so we're good. But yeah, we have other resources within the department also to pull mechanics if we need, or supervisors into the driving. But we should be more than enough staff on hand for this.
Michael.
Yeah, so our budget, we always leave a little over $250,000 for the last 2 months of the year, just based on trend data that we've been keeping. That's, to cover our expenses for the fuel and also the road salt. But we, at the end of the season, we always fill up our salt barns, try to take advantage unless there's a really high price that we speculate. This year is a little unique because of some of the fuel costs for diesel, a little bit higher, but we buy at a bulk rate, so we're paying a lot less than what the average citizen probably would at a service station. It does. Yeah, there's always, especially when we come out of the summer season going into the winter season, the maintenance staff is always doing a nut to bolt from front end to the rear end of the truck, replacing any wearables. So the trucks get a complete overhaul, tires, shocks, just anything that might be worn or loose, they replace. So we always project those costs, though. It's great to have some of the performance-based budgeting techniques that we use, and we stay in the ballpark of where we need. And then this year with the mild fall, we haven't used much of that money on the salt at all. Matter of fact, last weekend, I think our crews were out for a couple days down in the southern end of the county. It might have been the first couple applications of salt for the year.
Now, we're still a ways out, but depending on how this thing develops, you said you talked with Mayor Brown. Could some Buffalonians expect to see some of the Erie County plows on city streets?
We have rarely used Erie County plows on city streets. the Erie County plows, of course, plow county roads, and there's not a single road in the city of Buffalo that we own. Last year, because of some of the issues that the city was dealing with, we did assist the city with plowing some roads in immediate downtown Buffalo around the county campus, so to speak, Delaware, Franklin, Pearl. So we were able to take some of our smaller equipment and make sure that we kept open that heart of the county government so that the city didn't have to worry about it. Our goal is to not have to assist them. If the request is made, we will then evaluate what we have available, and also it may be an issue where New York State has to come in if the city's unable to. I did talk to the city mayor today, and I talked to him yesterday. He said, I know they have a number of new plows in the fleet for the city. The city is a different kind of beast compared to what we deal with on most of our county roads, which are generally wider. A lot of the city streets are smaller, so some of those larger plows can't get down it. Our larger plows can't get down those roads because they're too narrow. So our goal and hope would be that we do not have to, that it would be ample supply and availability from the city to do it. If it gets to that point, I'm sure the mayor will give me a call, or we'll have to have a discussion about what's necessary. But I know everyone's getting ready, and not just the city of Buffalo, but all the towns. This is going to affect other towns as well. And I assume the supervisors and highway superintendents in those communities are getting ready. And tomorrow I'll be having the conference call with those supervisors just to see what kind of position they're in. Well, this looks like it'll cut right across northern Erie County and go into Genesee, and as was described by Judy of the Weather Service, it probably will, to some effect, even go into Monroe County. There's some expectation it will also be in parts of Wyoming. So when we say the Buffalo metro area, we're really talking Hamburg, Orchard Park, East Aurora, those areas north, through, of course, Lackawanna, West Seneca, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, City of Buffalo, Tonawandas, Amherst, Clarence. And we're also at the mercy of the wind. If the wind just changes a little bit, it can move the storm significantly, so that a community is not getting snow at any one moment. But I am under the impression that this is going to be a significant weather event that'll hit most of northern Erie County. And for those who forget, they think the city of Buffalo is kind of central Erie County. No, it's northern Erie County. Well, Erie County is a fairly large geographic region. It's actually the same square miles as the state of Rhode Island. And when we say northern Erie County, we're talking primarily about the metro region. We talk about central Erie County, now we're talking about Orchard Park, areas a little south. We talk about southern Erie County, we're talking about Brant, Collins, Concord, Sardinia, those areas, Colden, the ski areas. So the southern part of Erie County is going to get the first snow starting tomorrow night. It doesn't appear that it's going to be significant. And remember, that's an area where they want the snow because that's ski country. But it's the northern part of Erie County that's primarily the metro region that appears it's going to get the brunt of this, which includes some of the areas from the storm back in 2014, but not all of them. The best example I had is while the storm was going on that November 17th and 18th and was hitting hard the areas of the 10-mile swath, the golf courses in northern Erie County were still open and people were playing. So it all really depended on where it hit.
How nice is it though this time around? I mean, we're already 8 years past this weather storm, but technology has advanced, forecasting has advanced. Just how nice is it, at least in your eyes, to be able to, this time around, be able to get that nice little heads up with this storm compared to last time around, maybe?
Well, I will note the Weather Service, I think, did actually a very good call for the 2014 storm. Because I remember we did, Scott, were you with us then? I think Scott, I know Dan, Bill, we did the press conference outside, and the Weather Service predicted that the snow will start falling at 4 o'clock. And it was literally 4:05, and it started to snow. We kind of laughed, they got that right. I wonder if they'll get this big storm right. And then all of a sudden we know what happened afterwards. So, and some of you, I think, were there at that time too. You know, they do a good job. And one thing I've noticed over the last few years is they really are spot on with their forecasts. Now, winds can change, and with that, sometimes when you're talking about lake effect snow, that can alter the amount of snow. But as was described to us today by Judy, it's not so much you want to think about the particular number of inches, but this is going to be a substantial rate of snow falling per hour. 2 inches or more per hour. That's a lot of snow. Those are whiteout conditions. Those are, you can drive off the road not knowing where you are. Those are very difficult because if it takes our plow routes 4 hours, our drivers 4 hours to do a plow route, if it's snowing at 2 or 3 inches per hour, then there's already a foot that's fallen by the time they get back to that route again. So I think we just need to understand that the weather forecasts are really good now. And there's no reason to not know what's about to hit, because all of you and the members of the media are talking about it. We're talking about it, and if people are paying attention to social media, their phones, the TV stations, the newspapers, they will know a substantial snowstorm is coming. And there's no reason to go out there and kind of gallivant around just to have fun, because it still bothers me that individuals who died in the storm back in 2014, there's a few of them who shouldn't have. They just decided to get in their vehicles and try to traverse during horrible conditions, and they got stuck and died. And that's not something I ever want to see again, because that is a preventable death. And unfortunately, we've had individuals who died in situations that were preventable because they went out in these horrible conditions.
Are you advising residents of the county to stay home?
Not at this point, Harold. We'll revisit it tomorrow and especially on Thursday. If we get the forecast that sounds like it's coming on Thursday, and they'll have much better idea on Thursday, then maybe we will recommend school closures, and we will recommend that there be work from home that'll be instituted by not only the county but by others. But we'll have a much better idea come Thursday.
Now, you mentioned schools earlier. Do you think at this point that the school district should start to prepare to be closed on Friday?
Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell the school districts what they should do, but they should be prepared for winter. And I know they all have school days set aside. So the school districts should be prepared for a substantial storm. They know how that goes. I would just suggest, and we'll be talking with the school district representatives in the next 48 hours, that they prepare for winter. It took a little longer than it normally takes to get here, but it's here. And maybe they'll be closed on Friday. I don't know. And remember, this is a 20-mile wide band is what the expectation is. So there's parts of Erie County that will probably not get much of any snow, especially in the southern part. Maybe they get 6 to 9 inches, but that's nothing down in the southern part of the county. And I talked to my colleagues across the country, and they're like, man, how can you handle a foot of snow? I go, a foot of snow is nothing. 2 feet, we generally can handle that. We start getting to 3 feet or more, now we got a problem. So we know how to handle snow in this region. The biggest problem often occurs when individuals put themselves and other people in jeopardy when they should not be on the roads. That was the major problem that happened 8 years ago. There were plows on the roads. They just couldn't go down some of those roads because vehicles got stuck. And once they got stuck, there was no way to plow that road. That was the granddaddy of all storms. But if there were no vehicles on the roads, it would have made it a heck of a lot easier for us to get through that a lot faster. Because while it was over 70 inches of snow, that fell over a 3-day period. There was basically 3 feet that fell in that first 24 hours. If the roads are clear, we can pretty much handle 3 feet over a 24-hour period. It's when you get 3 feet and now we've got roads closed because cars are stuck on it, then we get to a point where there's just nothing we can do. And the most important thing we can do at that point, and the sheriff's office is intimately involved, is search and rescue. And none of us want to see a sheriff's deputy have to go out in very adverse conditions to try to rescue someone when they should not have been on the road in the first place.
So given everything that did happen a couple years ago, certainly a forecast for the winds, it's an ever-evolving situation with lake effect snow, but if things change, the forecast starts turning more south direction, the severeness of it, it might lead to more officials like
Well, if the situation merits it, I will declare a state of emergency. And as one of the powers I have in the state of emergency, I can order driving bans, roads to be closed. We've done it before. We do not do it unless we have a state of emergency. We cannot do it by law unless we have a state of emergency. But if it appears, and we get, the one thing I'll note is we have a great team that works between all the offices in county government. We'll be at the Emergency Operations Center. We'll be getting calls from people in the field, from the emergency managers and police agencies and fire and various departments, talking with our sheriffs, letting us know what's happening. And very often we'll hear from a supervisor saying, I think we need a state of emergency in our town. And we'll be like, well, you can declare it and I can declare it as well. So if it merits it, we do it. We only do it if it merits it. And when I issue an advisory for no unnecessary travel, that is really saying no unnecessary travel. Don't go to your buddy's house to watch the football game or the college football game on Saturday if we're saying no unnecessary travel, but there's no travel ban. We only put a travel ban in place where it's really there. And then only emergency personnel are allowed on the roads. And you going to work is not emergency personnel if you work at 95 to 96% of the businesses in our community. It's, do you work at a hospital? Do you work for a government? Do you work for a public safety type entity like an ambulance service? Well, then you're emergency personnel. You working at a shop in the mall or at a grocery store might be, if it's a grocery store. If it's a shop at a mall, no. So I think it's important for people to understand that when we issue these either advisories or bans, they are there for a purpose, and that is to protect life. We've seen too many incidences of individuals die in storms, not just the storm of 8 years ago, but storms where maybe we got a foot of snow, but they drove into an area where they couldn't see where they were going and they crashed and they died. We want to avoid that as best as possible.
So what is the main message you want to get across to residents regarding this mandate?
Well, the main message, Harold, is Erie County has nearly 40 trucks at the ready. We will have staff available for 24 hours to get the snow, which we are expecting to start to hit. It'll come midnight on Friday, Thursday evening, 11:59 p.m. Thursday, 12 o'clock Friday. We will have staff available for what is expected to be a sizable snow event measured in feet starting at midnight on Friday morning. And people need to understand, with this being the first real snow event of the season, you gotta utilize good common sense. There are times in which you don't need to be on the road. There are times in which you don't need to be outside snow blowing or snow plowing. We see more heart attacks from older gentlemen snow shoveling or snow blowing than we should, because they shouldn't be out in those conditions doing it. So we just want people to use common sense, and we will continue over the next 48 hours to keep them advised of what we're expecting. And if a state of emergency is declared, then we would hope that the public would follow the orders at that point, because otherwise you're putting yourself and these other individuals who have to respond at risk. Thanks, everybody.